welcome to this new solving video from Clarity Media, in which we'll then look at how to solve a star battle puzzle. Sorry you've not got Patrick today, you've got me, Dan, instead, but don't worry, Patrick will be back soon, solving, I believe, a Sudoku X puzzle. So, star battle is a fun logic puzzle in which you must place 2 stars in each row, in each column, and in each of these bold line shapes, like so. The other very important rule is that stars cannot touch each other. So as I'm marking here, if you have a star and a square, then you know that the 8 squares that surround it are all free from stars. Specifically then, we know that if we have a star and a square, then there's a 2x2 box that is empty around that square, and you use that a lot when solving these puzzles. Okay, so let's get started. So it's always best to solve a star battle by looking at the small regions first. So let's start with this region that I was just looking at then. So since we know that each 2x2 block has to contain a maximum of 1 star, then we know that this 2x2 block here can only contain 1 star. Well, there's only 2 of the squares in this region, so therefore we know that one of these 2 squares has to be a star. And since we know that, then notice that they have these shared neighbours. Whichever star is marked, then these 2 squares above and below it have to be empty because they're shared neighbours of the stars, whether it's here, there, or here, there, and there. Those 4 neighbours are shared. Likewise, you know that one of these 3 must be a star, and therefore that can't be a star. Now let's look at this region here. So again, this 2x2 region contains a star, and there must be a star here as well, because there's only 6 squares in this region, and since there's a maximum of 1 in this group of 4, then there must be 1 there. So the fact we know one of these 2 must be a star means that whichever one of these 2 squares contains a star, these 2 must be blank. And now we have a region down here with just 3 squares left, so we can mark our first stars in the grid. And since that fills the row, then we can mark off the rest of the row as empty. Okay, that's really helpful for 2 reasons. Firstly, here we now can place a star in this region. Remember, 1 star is there, therefore the other one has to be there. And also we notice that the 2 stars in this region are now also fully shared with the squares in this row, because these 4 squares all belong to this row. Then we notice that since there must be 2 stars in these, then these must be blank. And furthermore, we know that one of these 2 is a star, and one of these 2 is a star, so we can therefore X out those. And since we know that one of these 2 is a star, then we can likewise X out those 2 there. Now if we think about this 5-shaped region that's left, and we know this can't be a star, because if it were, then it would X out the squares around it, and so there'd only be room for 1 star in that region. Okay, so that's an X. And now we have that familiar pattern where we have 2 squares, of which we know 1 must contain the star, and we have the same thing over here. So we can do the same thing there. So we're starting to get some good progress in terms of maybe not placing the stars exactly, but knowing roughly where they go. If this were a star, it would take out all 4 of these squares and only be space for 1 star in that region. So we can put an X there. Now we know that one of these 2 must be a star, and we already have 1 star in the column. Remember, there's a maximum of 2 stars, or precisely 2 stars, in each column. Therefore, if there's 1 there and 1 there, then we know that none of these squares can contain a star. And now we have the same pattern as we had in this bottom row, where we can place with certainty 2 stars there. And now we know that one of these has a star, and one of these 6 is going to have a star as well. Now let's have a look at this. Okay, well, we can do the same thing here, can we? We know that one of these is a star, and we have a star there, so therefore that can't be a star, that can't be a star, and that can't be a star, and that's going to enable us to place a star here in this column. So there's going to be 1 there, and therefore there's 1 there, and now we can place a star here, and as we know, we'll have one there and one here as well. Now let's look at this T region. So if this were a star, then it wouldn't be possible to place the second star into this bold line region, so that can't be a star. So we have 4 options left there. Let's have a look at this region up here. If this were a star, then it would take out 4 squares in this top region here, so there'd only be space for 1 star, so that can't be a star either. One of these is a star, and one of these is a star. So we can X out around that one. And now let's look here. So if this was a star, then none of these 3 could be a star, and therefore there's only room for 1 star, and that's in that top region there. So now we know it's one of these 2, and it's one of these 2. Now let's have a look. So in this region now, yes, we're down to just having 3 squares left. So we can place the stars there and there, and mark everything around that. Now we can mark a star here in this region, and that region is complete. Now we have one of these 2 as a star, therefore this one is a star. So now what do we know? Okay, so we've got 1 star in this row and 1 square left. Okay, so that is one of our stars. And in this column, we only actually have 2 squares left and still both of the stars to place. So we can place one there, and we can place one there. We can mark an X in this square because we have the 2 stars for this large region already. And therefore, since that's a neighbour, that's an X. Then we have a star there. So this is coming on very nicely. To complete this row and complete this column, we have 1 option left, which is the star there. And of course, with those 2 stars in this row, we can X off those 2 squares, which just leaves us our final 2 stars. Okay, let's click check solution. Correct. Okay, great. So that's how to solve a star battle puzzle. As I say, the main things to consider are firstly to remember that each 2x2 square can have a maximum of 1 star. That's super helpful, as we've seen, particularly in kind of eliminating where stars can't be, even if you don't know exactly where they are. And it's also really useful to start looking at the smaller regions first, because you can make the most progress with those. Not choosing to look at a region of 5 or 6 squares, as we did here, than looking at a very big region like this one at the top right from the start. Hope you enjoyed the solving video. If there's any other puzzles you'd like to see us solve, then please do let us know in the comments. And thanks again for watching. Goodbye.